Illinois Valley is known for its local restaurants that are plentiful with history that serve the area and support its culture. Long-standing restaurants like that of the Igloo or the Root Beer Stand, or the greenhorns like Fire on Fifth and Riverfront Bar and Grill help build Peru's identity. One restaurant, however, stands out from the rest. Embraced behind downtown Peru, Illinois, sits John's Place, a small and modest building that holds a remarkable reputation for being the spot for lunch. Established in the 60s, John's has expanded from a guy's hangout to the popular lunch spot it is today.
Winding back a little, over 50 years ago, John's Place was established by John B. Colman Sr. at 1803 4th Street, Peru. The original John's Place was a pool hall. It had 3 pool tables. The John's at 1803 is virtually unrecognizable from the current day restaurant. The business represented more of a guy's hangout for working men than a restaurant. Many wives and women wouldn't dare enter it.
In fact, just to give you an idea what the old John's Place looked like compared to this, how nice and clean this is. When we were on 4th Street, there was not a garbage can or an ashtray in the place. Everybody just threw shit on the floor. Cigarette butts. Guys chewed tobacco and they throw it on the floor. But every night, myself and another guy we hired, Joe Logot, would sweep everything up. We'd have a pile, paper wrappers, pick it up, wet mop it every night. And then the next day, the same thing. And people came in and we were busy.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you walked around when ankle deep and people accepted it back in those days. You know, that's what it was.
The spot was open while smoking was acceptable indoors, yet John's had no ashtray, interestingly enough. In fact, it didn't even have a trash can for the longest time. An interesting story that occurred at John's Place is that it was a victim of an armed robbery. Sometime during the early 80s, the Illinois Valley was victim of an armed robbery spree. Many businesses were raided by 3 men. When John's was ultimately raided, the robbers attempted to break into the safe.
And one went in the back room where all the guys were playing rummy. Everybody get down, and the other guy went up front. All the customers get down on the floor, don't move, and he put the gun to his head and open that safe and get me the money. Well, my dad happened to pull up, walk in. My dad came down the last hour every night. My dad comes walking in. My dad's an old Army guy. He got wounded twice in the war, and he's had like 3 different medals, He comes walking in, and the guy's got the gun, and he's telling him, "No, you got 15 seconds to get that safe open." My dad said, "You got 5 seconds to get the hell out of here." And I don't know where there was one glass ashtray, the only ashtray in the whole place. And he threw it at this guy with a gun. The guy turned and fired 3 shots at my dad and missed him. He hit the pie case and shattered all the glass, and he hit the case behind the counter and shattered it.
John's Place was protected by a single ashtray.
The 1803 4th Street John's Place kept running until about the early 1980s, where Colmoni Sr. began having issues with the landlord of the building. Therefore, he began to think of solutions to continue running John's while not being under the landlord's authority anymore. What he ended up doing was purchasing a gas station adjacent to the 1803 building and brainstorming a project to expand the business outward. Before he could complete the new building project, however, John Colmoni Sr. got very sick, unfortunately passing away in Peoria on March 28, 1983. The death of his father left John Colmoni Jr. in a hard place. Being around his mid-20s at the time, and not knowing a thing about building anything, he was unsure of what to do next. Not only did he not know what to do, but the project was set to be completed in the coming summer, leaving John Colmoni Jr. with only a few months to work with. Inspiringly, however, the clientele of John's Place, all blue-collar guys who had some sort of knowledge when it came to construction, helped guide John Colmoni Jr.
I had 6 months to get the place opened up, and everybody that were customers here had something to do. I hired a painter, a plumber, the guy that did the Pebble Dash, Matt Kaler, that did the coping around the top, Jimmy Coulter, Sketty Coulter. You know, and then,
Yep, his wife just died.
everybody that came in that was a tradesman had something to do with it, helped me
In our
out.
area,
Because
yeah.
I was just a young guy. I never built nothing before, and these guys all helped me out, told me what you need to do and what I had to do.
Because you were in your 30s when your dad
was
passed and you took
29.
over. 29. I was 30 when I took it over
Yeah,
as well.
I was 29. I had 2 kids at home and a wife, and my mother was frantic, and it was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah.
but we got it.
You
we
did? Yeah, you.
One of the biggest players who helped John Jr. was Mark Piano, a regular at John's, friend of Camoni Jr., and father to Nicole Piano, current owner of John's Place. Mark Piano helped tremendously in the construction, not only allowing for the construction of the building to be speedy, but also rallying up the guys from the hangout to help in the process.
Mark, when we moved over, Mark was very, very, very helpful to me. And I didn't know nothing about construction, and it was thrown in my lap. Turned this gas station into a restaurant.
Yeah.
And Mark was very instrumental in helping me do that.
Gotcha.
My dad, yeah.
Mark Beebee,
Yeah.
okay.
I borrowed him so many times. One thing that I did borrow was he had a little red Chevy S10 pickup. I don't know if you remember that. It was like a little matchbox.
Right, yeah, when it was old.
And I bought a double door stainless steel refrigerator in New Lenox, and I borrowed his truck and went and picked it up. And I mean, it was going
Smack.
down the highway like this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
John's retained the old culture, retaining its reputation as a guys-only spot. Food was made by John Colmone Jr.'s mother, Mary, whose original recipes are still used in the current restaurant today. She would prepare and make the food at home, and it would be transported across town. The chili served by John's is made fresh every day, and the recipe derived from Junior's mother.
While John Camoni Jr. did keep the place open, he wasn't really a food service guy at all. One day he just said, "I'm ready to sell." The person to purchase the restaurant was Nicole Piano, daughter of aforementioned Mark Piano. However, her purchase was met with some criticism by the regulars. Many older patrons were used to the old John's Place and did not want somebody else to come and ruin it. This didn't discourage her from evolving the restaurant, however. Piano's ambition led her to renovate the entire restaurant from once a full brown and wood interior to the flashy and modern one it is today. The interior renovation wasn't the only thing that Nicole Piano changed. She had the secret menu added, which is the special burgers that people will ask for frequently. In fact, Nicole Piano is the person who made John's the spot for lunch. She brought in the kitchen where previously it was cooked at home. She came up with ideas of how to improve the restaurant, such as bringing in new items like ravioli from a local business and even serving pork tenderloins at one point. Other things that Nicole Piano did was make one of the veteran workers' faces as the mascot of John's Place. Bob has been over there for 40 years, and Nicole thought that putting his face on the entrance of the restaurant was the right thing to do to show appreciation towards his long service.
The COVID-19 pandemic that occurred at the beginning of 2020 needs no introduction. The pandemic ravaged small businesses nationwide, especially those in smaller towns and cities. John's was no exception to this. With the shutdown of indoor dining and the mandated isolation of people, many businesses suffered and were forced to shut down. To combat this, the local financial department of Peru decided to allocate nearly $300,000 to local businesses to relieve them. Many of these benefited from this fund, including John's Place and The Igloo. Nevertheless, Nicole Piano did keep the restaurant running during COVID with her impromptu outdoor food pickup that kept serving the community.
In all, the cultural pillar that John's Place has built itself is one of the most interesting. From being a guy's hangout to being one of the most popular lunch spots in the Illinois Valley, John's reputation and fame has and will continue to rise as more and more people discovered the little building just off of Route 6.